What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We got Zac Elliott back with us today, and he's going to break down some of the legalese around the Autel versus DJI patent case so that your friendly neighborhood gadget inspector can understand it, what's really going on, and you can understand it too. So he's going to give us what we need to know coming up.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
No, it's Gadget Inspector. Okay, you guys, we're going to get right into the information. But first, let me kind of introduce Zac Elliott. Now, first of all, he has a cool name. That's one thing we know about him. The other thing is he's a licensed attorney in the state of Ohio. Go Buckeyes, go Browns. He's also a Part 107 drone pilot, but he's also a manned aircraft pilot. He has his manned aircraft pilot's license, and he runs a website called The Legal Drone. So, Zac, how you feeling today?
Done.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right into this thing. So let me see if I can get this right. Boom. Okay, so we're talking about Autel versus DJI, and there's been a lot of talk out there already. So we want to kind of set the record straight based on the facts, based on the information that is accurately reported. So, Zac, why don't you start taking us through this? What's the big picture? I mean, can you tell us the big picture of this case?
I guess before we even really get to the case, I've seen a lot of misinformation kind of floating around about how much of an impact this case will have on DJI and how much it'll have an impact on their market share and whether their products will be taken off the shelves and all these things. And so before we even really get to the case, I just kind of want to mention that it's really not even a court decision. So it was actually a case that's in front of the United States International Trade Commission. And that's like an administrative agency at the federal government level in the United States. And so they have judges that are called administrative law judges that in these hearings, they're not really trials. They're just formal evidentiary hearings. There's no jury. But this judge, what they call an ALJ, will make a decision. And so here, what happened was Autel brought a case in the United States International Trade Commission against DJI, claiming that DJI had violated some of their patents. And in March, at the beginning of March, the judge actually handed down an initial determination. That's what they call it. But that initial determination actually isn't even binding at this point because the case now has to go in front of the entire Trade Commission. And so at this point, we're kind of in a place where we have the decision. We have a redacted version of the decision that was recently published, which is why it's getting all the attention. And now it's getting ready to go in front of the full committee. But once it goes in front of the full committee, they can either reverse it, they can modify it, they can adopt it in whole. So there's a lot of different ways that this could go right now. And even then, once we have a final decision there, this actually goes to sit in front of the president. So it'll sit in front of the president and he'll determine whether or not he wants to veto this decision. So there's a 60-day window, even after the full commission reviews it and either adopts it or reverses it or whatever. The president will sit on it and probably not veto it because that's actually a pretty rare thing. And then once that happens, DJI will actually have the opportunity to take it in front of an federal appellate court. So we're really far away from actually having some sort of binding decision that would actually stop DJI from importing or not allow them to sell their products in the United States. We're quite a ways away from that, but it's a victory for Autel at this point.
Okay. So sounds like there's nothing binding. It's not like a legal thing at this point. So what's the big deal? What exactly did DJI do wrong? What was the determination about?
So Autel is actually claiming that DJI infringed on one of its patents about how the drone's propellers are fixed onto its legs. If you Google it, you'll see the picture that is being thrown around everywhere. It's the picture that was filed with Autel's patent, and it affects the list in the actual decision was the Mavic Pro, the Pro Platinum, the Mavic Pro 2, the Mavic Pro Zoom, Mavic Air, and Spark. And I think Autel is actually trying to get that list expanded. But at that point, that's the entire list. So it's really just a matter of how the propellers connect to the drone.
Okay, so does this really mean that DJI will have to pull all of its drones off the shelves? It won't be able to import drones into the US anymore. Does it really mean that? You kind of touched on that, but let's just drive the point home. Does it really mean that?
At this point, it does not mean that. I would be really, really surprised if it actually got to the point where DJI was not able to import or sell their drones in the United States. Typically, the way that this kind of stuff shakes out, I think if anyone is into drones, they're probably into technology generally. And you probably remember a couple of years ago when Apple and Samsung had a similar dispute and Apple ended up winning. You can still buy Samsung phones in the United States. The deal is typically one company will end up licensing the rights to those patents from the other company. When I was in law school, one of the things that they taught us was in patent law, they have what's called a thicket of patents. And so if you think of this drone space as being a thicket out in the woods, there's all these pieces of growth that are coming up, and each individual piece of growth is its own patent. And so they're all kind of stuck in there together. And if you get into too many fights that create binding decisions in the courts, you could end up invalidating one of your own patents because they're all so interconnected. So typically, the way this shakes out is just DJI writes a check and Autel gets a royalty off of DJI every time they sell a drone. So I would be DJI is just going to make a business decision, right? They're just going to look at it and say, well, would it cost us more money to not be able to sell consumer drones in the US, or would it cost us more money just to tack a royalty onto our drone? And
so the claim against DJI appears to be valid, but
it's administrative law judge says, yeah,
right. But the result of that is not, making DJI defunct. They will still
yet. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So they can actually post what's called a bond. And when they post the bond, it will allow them to continue to sell their drones at least until the 60-day presidential review period is up. So they'll post the bond. Everything will just go on normal, at least until that period ends. And then we'll see if they've come to an agreement or if there's an appeal. But it doesn't sound like this is the end of it.
Okay, guys, so you heard that. So relax. So when you hear people talking with their hair on fire, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Oh my God, am I going to be able to get parts for my crash drone? I just bought the DJI. What am I going to do? You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Okay. Okay, guys, that's it, man. I just wanted to do a really quick video and get you some good information regarding this. And we might just do an update as things progress. Doesn't sound like anything is going to be happening anytime soon, but we will keep you updated. But before we go, I want to let Zac kind of fill you in on his website called The Legal Drone. So, Zac, why don't you fill us in on what we can find out there?
On the legal drone, the bulk of the information that I provide is helping people pass the Part 107 test. So if you're interested in drones, you want to make money with drones in the United States, you have to have your Part 107 license. And if you're a drone pilot, but you don't have any aviation experience, it can be kind of hard because some of the words that get thrown around are more aviation terms than they are drone terms. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve, but my website has a great free ultimate Part 107 study guide. It's even got a practice test that you can take. You'll get your results in an email showing you what you missed and what you got right, so you can know what to go back and study more. So you should check out my website, The Legal Drone, and use the ultimate Part 107 study guide.
All right. You heard it from Zac himself. And appreciate you all for watching, checking out the Gadget Inspector channel. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. And don't forget to click that bell. That way you'll know when I upload new videos. Until next time, be good to somebody, be good to yourself. See you in the next one. Later.